Hi, welcome. My name is Kat, and I'll be your leadership consultant today. We'll be covering how knowing to manage change makes you a better leader. Change management is not something you hear about often when you're talking about leadership skills, such as your basic communication skill, time management, or strategic thinking. So, what is change management? Well, change management is just as simple as it sounds. It's the ability to manage change in the workplace. Having a change management plan helps control the process by having a budget, knowing the schedules, communicating to other departments, and allocating its resources to make a smooth flowing plan. Change in the workplace can be extremely disruptive and difficult on the employees, stakeholders, and customers, which could lead to many problems, and that is why having a change plan will minimize that impact. So, how do we manage change? Let's break it down into a three-phase process. Phase 1 is preparing for change. Phase 2, managing change. Phase 3, reinforcing it. Each phase has a different task to help you manage change. Let's follow John Coulter's 8-step change model, which includes step 1, create urgency, step 2, form a powerful coalition, step 3, create a vision for change, 4, communicate the vision, 5, remove obstacles, 6, create short-term wins, 7, build on the change, and 8, anchor the changes into the corporate culture. In this video, we'll also be breaking down John Coates' 8-step change model and identifying which phase each step belongs in. Phase 1 is obviously identifying the need for change, creating the urgency for that change, and developing your change model and preparing your change management team. Step 1, 2, and 3 of Coder's model is in this phase. Create the sense of urgency that allows others to see the impact of that change, the reason why change is needed and must be put in action immediately. Forming a powerful coalition allows the change process to go smoothly. These individuals are experts in the field that will benefit the change within the organization. Creating a vision for change clarifies the future for the organization, employees, customers, and stakeholders. To help you assess the scope of change, you can ask yourselves the following question. How big is this change? Who and how many will be affected? Will this be a gradual or radical change? These questions will help you build on your plan to smoothly carry out the change process. During this phase, it's important to assess your teams and your sponsors. Your sponsors, or who you sponsor and donate to, are a huge influence on your organization goals and values. So change your sponsors if you need to. It's important to have sponsors who have similar goals and values as you do to effectively enforce a change with your organization. Let's use the topic of diversity and inclusivity as an example. This year, we as a nation experienced tragic events of racism and discrimination. As a leader, you must identify that this is a problem within your organization if you believe that it's not. There are ways to identify what you could do to prevent discrimination within your organization and how to improve your diversity rates. Next is to create a vision for what you would like your organization to become. For example, for the topic of diversity and inclusivity, your vision could be to have high diversity rates that reflects your community. Your plan could include how to help employees of different race and ethnicity and attract and maintain those employees of different ethnicity. Now phase 2 focus on managing the change. During this phase, you'll continue to develop your plan. Communicate with all the departments in your organization to expect the change and enforce it. Phase 2 includes quarter steps 4, 5, and 6. Communicating the vision to your team will help them understand the need for the change so that they can better enforce it. During this phase, barriers need to be removed to reduce the inefficiency of the change. To effectively communicate with your team, you need to consider these 3 points. What is your target audience, or who is your target audience? What are you trying to communicate? And when should it be communicated to your target audience? Communication should be designed for each target group. Each audience should get information that pertains to them and their level of management to reduce confusion and repetition. After the communication is important to remove obstacles that are preventing a smooth change. When obstacles are removed, make short-term wins so that everyone sees the benefit of the change. Having a short-term win will motivate the team to keep going with the change and also tracks the results. Let's go back to our example of change in diversity and inclusivity of an organization. It's important to communicate to your team why this change is important. Send out what you expect each level of managers to do. This should be included in your change design in the first phase. For example, the conversations sent to your managers will be different from the communications sent for HR. The communications to the manager should include the vision of change, why it's beneficial, and what is expected of the managers to help with the new hires to be successful. Communications to HR would be more about hiring and staffing needs to hit the diversity and inclusivity metrics. An obstacle in this case could be that the managers are not trained to manage other race and ethnicity. Coming up solution for obstacles like this could be as simple as having your managers complete race and ethnicity managing trainings. Because this is such a gradual change, it'll be hard to see direct impacts of why diversity and inclusivity is so important within an organization. To measure the success of diversity within a workplace, look at the different race statistics in your community and compare it to the race statistic of your organization. Ask yourself if each race is fairly represented in your organization, or is there room for improvement? Lastly, phase 3 is reinforcing the change and collecting feedback, looking and addressing gaps and resistance. Collecting and analyzing feedbacks allow you to look at the change and see the impact that it's making to your organization. Getting feedbacks from employees, managers, and even customers allow us to analyze the situation and implement corrective actions based on the feedbacks. Phase 3 includes core last two steps, 7 and 8, sustaining acceleration and instituting the change. After phase 2 of our short-term win, it's important to keep going to maintain the change and build more success. When the vision is achieved, it's important to keep the change so that long-term goals can be achieved. Coder's last step 8 is to institute the change and incorporate it in the corporate culture. Making the connections between the change and the organization success helps everyone see the impact of it. By showing the success correlation, it helps motivate everyone to keep going to get it to a point where we replace the old habit and have this change become a norm. Alright, let's go back to our example with diversity and inclusivity. In phase 2, our short-term goals or our short-term win was to meet our matrix of diversity hiring and to seek understanding and help our current and new employees of color develop within their positions. Now we are in phase 3, so our long-term goals in phase 3 is to normalize diversity in our staffs and employees and represent the different race and ethnicities in our community. Remember, phase 3 is all about collecting and analyzing our data. Listen to your feedbacks and implement your corrective actions based on your feedbacks. To achieve your long-term goals, you'll have to continuously measure and look at your diversity rates every hiring quarter until you are fully confident that you and your organization is giving everyone a fair chance to be successful. That was a lot of information you just learned, so let's recap everything. Change management generally happens in 3 phases. In phase 1, we're going to create urgency, form a coalition, and create a vision for change. Phase 2, we're going to communicate the changes to the rest of the organization, enforce it, and address and remove any obstacles along the way to create our small success. Phase 3 is that we're going to build on the changes and anchor the changes into the corporate world until it becomes the norm. Now you know all the steps to manage change and enforcing it and maintaining it. Regardless of which level of management you are in, it's important to understand and know all of these steps to help the transition of change in your organization flow smoothly.